Ashley Scott, and today we're talking about meeting the growing demand for IT with sustainability in mind, particularly with regards to measuring, monitoring, and reporting energy and emissions. We're here today with Lin Nease, Chief Solution Architect for HPE's Advisory and Professional Services business. Hi, Lin. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Ashley. Thanks.
Good. Welcome in. So let's start by having you tell us a little bit about your role at HPE and how you began your work in IT sustainability.
Sure. So, as a chief solution architect, I'm driving several programs in basically our consulting business of the company. So, we are the advisory professional services arm of HPE. I spend a lot of time helping with innovation and new service creation, as well as dealing a lot with customers. And sustainability became a central part of my role because there have been some recent, I'll say, advancements in the state and the interest in sustainability with our customer base, particularly in certain geographies. And so this has become a focus for me as part of this new service creation.
Let's dive right in then. What is the current state of sustainability endeavors in enterprise IT?
Sure. So I think a lot of our enterprise customers aren't sure exactly what sustainability means to IT. So, because in many industries, IT is not a huge source of emissions for an individual company. For us, it's huge because our downstream emissions are the sum of all the customers we have using our products. Now, AI is going to create a lot more focus on this whole, I'll say, the sustainability problem space for our customers, especially if they have a burning need to build their own infrastructure for model training, inference, et cetera. And we know the hyperscalers have been getting a lot of pressure because their data centers are positively huge. And of course, with AI, they're growing more and more. So this we'll call AI energy problem is also a very big sustainability problem. And our customers tend to know the power consumption of their data centers. If they run their own data centers, they can tell you, oh, this is a half megawatt data center, this is a 2 megawatt data center. But what they cannot tell you today is how that energy is consumed by the individual equipment components in those data centers. And they can't tell you today what they can do in a practical way to reduce their energy and emissions in those data centers beyond the big hitter data center facility stuff. Like obviously more efficient air conditioning, more efficient chillers. Everyone knows that that will help with their effectiveness, the power usage effectiveness in the data center. But what they don't know is what should I be doing in the area of software? What should I be doing in the area of equipment life cycles? And so there are a lot of assumptions and efforts, I'll say, flying around looking at things like utilization of the equipment, looking at software architecture. But to be honest with you, they're all, I'm not going to say misguided, but I'm going to say they're premature in that our customers don't know where energy consumption actually comes from. And where we have been measuring it, it's been quite surprising.
What are the barriers that you see and what is that issue?
Great question, because you would think something like power and energy information from systems, they all collect this data. The problem is they all collect it and store it slightly different ways. And so if I wanted to take a tops down view and drill down to the equipment level from the full on data center level, the number of systems I would need or the number of APIs I'd have to integrate with to collect that data is huge. So this is not a small effort. And it's the diversity of these data points which makes this data very hard to get. And then secondly, the studies in the area of how does software execution affect the power consumption of a server? To be honest with you, there are a lot of misconceptions around that. There have not been extensive studies done that actually take measurements and deal with that. And again, it comes back to the nuts and bolts of collecting that data. It's not easy to do. But here's the change that's coming, right? In the EU, for example, the Energy Efficiency Directive is being turned into legislation in many countries. Now, already in Germany and Netherlands, anyone operating a data center that's over half megawatt is going to have to report all sorts of numbers about the data center.
So it's a forcing function then.
Exactly. They're starting to get into the equipment, But again, it's gonna take some time for many of our customers before they can tap into power data from all the equipment they have in their data center.
At HPE, then, how are we attacking this issue with customers, or I guess how are we attacking this problem both internally and with customers as well?
So from a services perspective, our focus is on our customers, and anything we do that helps our customers will help our own IT organization. But generally speaking, what we're focused on is at the equipment level, we're trying to remove the barrier we were just talking about. So if you look at what we're doing at energy and emissions reporting, we actually have several tools. And again, our customers don't want to necessarily buy new tools to collect power data. So if they're already using tools like Compute Operations Manager, which is our cloud-based server management, we have a tool for them to get energy and emissions data from that. If they're using OneView, which many of our traditional customers are continuing to use with GreenLake Flex solutions, for example, or just standalone server management, we have a separate way of collecting data for the power information from that tool. From the storage perspective, we're starting to add some of these power information into the compute console. We have other data collectors that we're building in this device information tool that will go to things like smart PDUs, the power distribution units, where things plug in and get the data from that side, which of course is going to be very accurate and authoritative. But it requires you to have this associative tagging. This equipment here is plugged into this outlet over here. That's the power number you're looking at. But at the device level, we're hitting it from many different angles all at once. Now we have an overarching tool. So from the data center level, we take all that data from the equipment, roll it up, and combine that with the data many of our customers already collect from things like a building management system, an energy management system, a data center infrastructure management system. And then we allow a customer to do both a high level view of the data center and a drill down. And then that data center tool can relate back to the entire enterprise. So at the entire enterprise, we have what we call this EER premium solution, which not only has the data center module, which can drill down and collect data from the individual device components, but this tool actually allows you to take the IT information and relate it back potentially to your corporate sustainability objectives data. And so it becomes a single source of truth. It's a data lake that allows you to collect data from any number of sources, make sense of the data, and then be able to use this metadata in turn to generate reports much more efficiently than we or our customers do today. And if you look at all the different frameworks that are supported, it's you name it: CDP, science-based targets, CSRD, many regional reporting frameworks. The beauty of having a data lake with central metadata is that it's the same data. You just need to generate multiple reports from what is essentially the same metadata. And we make that easy to do with the tool.
And so, how do they choose which framework works best for them?
Well, it turns out that they don't have a choice in most cases. And
Okay.
if you're a company like ours, so HP Enterprise, it's a global enterprise. We operate in hundreds of countries. And so we are forced to supply whatever reporting frameworks in the jurisdictions we operate in, which means we have to do it all. And again, that's the beauty of this sort of metadata approach. We have a common data framework that deals with all the different reports because honestly, most of our top accounts are multinational corporations.
Got it. So, if I'm a company listening today who has not really had a chance to get started, how do they get started today if they're interested to really advance these sustainability practices?
Definitely if you're talking to HPE at the IT level, there are things we can do to help you bring your corporate entities with certainly with your IT leadership and focus on things like the operating model in IT and also focus on how you roll up this data. So we can not only help at the corporate level in terms of this data lake I was talking about, but this applies to how IT interacts with the corporate level. So, our first sponsors within our global accounts are frequently IT, right? Because that's who we deal with the most. So we can help by going in and looking at the capabilities they have for their operating model. And we now have a workshop that addresses 20 key capabilities, everything from procurement to how you do tagging in your technology area and virtualization, how you address hiring, all these different practices and skill sets. And we can provide a maturity assessment. For many of our customers, this is very valuable because we'll frequently be dealing with someone who's a staunch advocate, right, of sustainability and improving their enterprise's responsibility, and they use this maturity model as a way of helping the enterprise understand what they need to fix.
Sure. Well, thank you, Lynn. This has been a really great conversation. And thank you for joining us today. Please contact your HPE or partner sales representative to learn more about getting started with HPE.